As a kid, one of my favorite shows to watch in the mornings before school was Garfield and Friends, and I'm so happy that Verve is now offering Garfield and Friends to stream as well as other cartoons and anime from our childhoods. vrv.co/geekdom. Try it for 30 days for free. The link will be in the description. Try it out. So I was not expecting this. Out of nowhere, I was not expecting it. We got the trailer, the first trailer ever for Ghostbusters Afterlife, the real Ghostbusters 3. And let me tell you something. The previous Ghostbusters film, the 2016 one, not a very good movie if you ask me. Not very funny. It's got some good actors in it, but the script and it just wasn't that good of a film, right? At all. I don't like that movie. And a lot of folks hated that film. But now with Ghostbusters Afterlife, directed by Jason Reitman, the son of Ivan Reitman, the director of the original two films, and this film is supposed to be canon to the first two, I don't know if it'll be better. I like to think that it will be. In fact, I'm pretty sure it will be. But boy, if you compare the first trailer to that movie to this one, remember how much crap that trailer got? And what's interesting is that trailer went for more of a comedy approach. But this trailer has a totally different vibe. This film does not even seem like a comedy whatsoever based on this trailer. It's really weird too, because you would think they'd play up the laughs. I mean, Paul Rudd is in this movie. He's the main character, or one of the main characters. You know, some of the older Ghostbusters are going to be reprising their roles. Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, Sigourney Weaver, and Annie Potts are supposed to be back in this movie, but Paul Rudd and McKenna Grace are supposed to be the main characters of this new one. But yet, like I said, in this trailer, it doesn't even look like a comedy at all. It looks more like this. It kind of reminds me of Super 8, or sort of like, you know, Chronicle, like one of those kinds of movies. One of those like thought-provoking sci-fi, you know, kind of modern type of film. That's not how the trailer, the trailer came off more like that than a comedy. But you know it's going to be a comedy because the first two Ghostbusters are comedies. So, okay, so a couple things I want to run through here with this trailer. I was surprised, not just at the tone of the trailer, which was very different from what I was expecting, but I was surprised that unlike what you would expect, which is a play on nostalgia, which is them kind of doing sort of what Star Wars trailers have done, which is show a lot of imagery of familiar stuff to get us kind of back into the nostalgic sort of mentality to go see this film. We didn't even see any of the original cast in this trailer. None. The only time you ever see the Ghostbusters in this trailer is very briefly. There's a scene where they're talking about the 1980s and paranormal, disturbances and whatnot, and ghosts and whatnot, and they show the old Ghostbusters there for only like a brief second, but that's it. You can't really see them. So I was surprised they didn't just go that route for this trailer. Now, I do think by the time the final trailer comes out, we are going to see the old Ghostbusters, but I was expecting a lot more. This trailer came off more like sort of what they were trying to do with the Force Awakens trailer, which is, it's been X number of years, 30 years or so, and apparently like the paranormal disturbances are gone. No more Gozer, no more Vigo the Carpathian, and then we all obviously we have the Ghostbusters video game, which may or may not be canon to this movie. I would like to think that it is canon because, it was written by the original creators. Dan Aykroyd was involved in the creative process. The original actors voiced it. I would like to think that this is not going to be sort of decanonizing the game, but it's been 30 years or so, like I said, and there hasn't been any problems. But this movie does not take place in New York. It takes place somewhere in the middle of nowhere in Oklahoma, it seems. Very interesting they aren't going to New York here. There obviously is this sort of story where, because of the unfortunate passing of Harold Ramis, we can't see Egon in the film, but the story, and there's not really much in the way of spoilers out now or anything in this trailer, but it seems like Egon's, son and or grandson, probably grandson, I can't really tell based on the film, is going to be the main character to sort of take up the mantle of the Ghostbusters. I think some of these characters are going to be descendants of the previous Ghostbusters, while others are not. So what ends up happening is, basically, there's like a bunch of earthquakes, and then they find out that there's that in fact, like their family, they are related to the Ghostbusters. At least some of them are, but it's sort of been kept a secret. Maybe because the Ghostbusters were ridiculed or what. I don't really know what the purpose of that is, but I am hoping that at some point they do end up, maybe during the movie, they end up meeting the Ghostbusters. Maybe when they get beat up by ghosts and the Ghostbusters come in to help them. But these earthquakes are mysterious, and so it looks like after X number of years, we're going to have some problems. But, again, I'm just really shocked I didn't go with a comedic tone here. That's like my main stickling point of this trailer. It really came off like the Ghostbusters were sort of these legendary heroes, and I guess for our generation growing up with these films and with the animated series, they kind of were superheroes in a way. Even though the film, I don't think Ghostbusters was intended to be a superhero film at all. I think it was totally going to be about a bunch of guys who go into business for themselves, who are very witty and very funny, and they happen to do heroic things, but are they really superheroes? I guess by the end of the second film, they sort of are, and with the marketing that was going on back then, the toys and the Ecto-1 and all that, which, by the way, we do see the Ecto-1 in this trailer, and I guess it's got like a side gun thing, which I could have sworn that was in the cartoon series, not the film. Or the films. So I'm wondering if they're gonna be incorporating some of the cartoon lore. The cartoon, the real Ghostbusters animated series from back in the day. It's supposed to be what's called secondary canon, meaning that you can count it, but you can't count it as far as fitting in with the films. The problem is that there's a lot of contradictions in the TV series compared to the movies. Like, it's supposed to be, they mention stuff like Gozer, and they actually show the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, but the Marshmallow Man is inside of the Trap universe, which makes no sense at all. Like, there's all kinds of things that are really weird about that animated series, so I don't like to count it as being canon, just sort of like extra stuff. Whereas the first two films and the video game, I think, tell a much simpler narrative, and one that doesn't really have as many contradictions, if any, you know what I mean? So it looks like that's going to be the story here going forward. McKenna Grace, I mentioned that. Finn Wolfhard, Carrie Coon, and Paul Rudd seem to be the four main characters. Of course, along with Bokeem Woodbine, which is always a treat to see him in a film. And then, of course, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, Sigourney Weaver, and Annie Potts, which, again, have not been revealed yet. Unfortunately, no Louis Tully. It's a shame. It really is a shame, but for those who don't know, and I don't really have the whole story on this, to be honest with you, so don't quote me on this, but Rick Moranis quit the business X number of years ago. I don't remember exactly when, but a long time ago he quit the business of being an actor. And the reason for that was because he had some kind of personal problem. I don't know if it was something with his wife or his children, but I think the story was that, if I remember, his wife died and he wanted to raise his kids, so he pretty much quit the business. Like, he saved all his money and he quit. And he did do a couple of voice acting gigs here and there, but he's been pretty much persona non grata for years and years and years and years and years. And I really would have loved it if he would have come back. He did do a voice on Brother Bear. That was the last thing he did. I do wish he would come back to reprise this role one more time, because I haven't seen this dude in a while. And apparently he did make a cameo in a few little shows here and there, but I never saw them, so it's just hard to find him, and he's not going to be in this film, unfortunately. Now, I wonder, though, Ghostbusters Afterlife, like, does that have anything to do with somebody passing away? Like, where is that going? But what I'm hoping for with this movie is, I don't want it to be just a superhero movie. I do want it to be a comedy in the same vein of the first two films. They can't screw this up, because it's already been screwed up once. And you guys know how I feel about people constantly recycling old franchises and rebooting them or pulling them out of the grave. The 2016 Ghostbusters movie, Answer the Call, was just atrocious and just hard to watch. I'm not a fan of that movie. It's not the worst movie in the world, contrary to popular belief, but it's pretty bad and just not funny. That's really the main problem with it. It's just not very funny. This movie, though, and that movie had an agenda. This movie does not appear to have any agendas. It just seems to be like the story of the next generation, of Ghostbusters, which is exactly what I wanted. Like, that's what I want, but I don't want it to be this sort of dark tone where they have to come in and, become heroes again. That's obviously what's going to happen, but I want the movie to be lighthearted and have the same sort of wit that the original Ghostbusters had. But that may not happen, because it's hard to find talent like a Bill Murray or a Dan Aykroyd. These are really talented comedians, you know what I mean? But Paul Rudd is in this movie, and I trust Paul Rudd because Paul Rudd is awesome in everything, you know? Even if you don't like Ant-Man, which I don't know how you could not like Ant-Man, Paul Rudd is awesome in those Ant-Man movies. So anyways, I'm looking forward to Ghostbusters 3, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Finally, a canon Ghostbusters movie, or at least they're going to count it as being canon, a real continuation of the previous two films, and I want to see where this goes, so I am excited. Anyway, check out the trailer. Let me know what you thought down below, and I hope you have a great day, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Comes out June of 2020, so I'll be there. See you then.